Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coast-to-Coast Combat Hour. I'm your host, Matthew Hawkins, and as always, I'm joined by my friend and co-host, Ed Carbajal. Ed, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. It looks like the festivities are starting early for International Fight Week. As soon as UFC 302 snoozes by, uh, was it Monday? The big press conference that Dana was flying to Dublin out for right after that event got canceled. No, Conor McGregor no shows, and everybody has pulled out their magnifying glasses to to speculate on what the hell's going on and if the main event is in danger on International Fight Week, which you and I are no stranger to, right? Like it's almost
No.
it almost wouldn't be International Fight Week if the main event wasn't in danger.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of obviously the confusion is probably the worst part about this because
Mm-hmm.
it leads to massive speculation, and perhaps it's just some kind of big promotional ploy to really bring attention to it because it's been talked about more now than
Yeah.
anytime really up until this point. Although it seems odd to do that and screw over all the fans, the 10,000 plus fans who had tickets in Ireland, free tickets, but still had to get your hands on them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as a ticket holder for the event, I'm wondering where this goes. From my understanding, Nevada has a law that has to offer a refund
Mm-hmm.
if the main event changes. I know there's some wording and stuff in there that could affect stuff, I guess, but I believe it's pretty much absolute that if you bought the tickets from a reputable, no, not secondhand tickets, but if you bought them from Ticketmaster or Access or whoever the main seller was for the event, that you get that option
Mm-hmm.
if the main event's canceled. And I believe that's just to stop the bait and switch of an immediate, hey, we're going to have Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Cormier, and then they
Mm-hmm.
go on sale for 20 million, and then the next day they just go, never mind, it was actually Pat Cummings versus Cormier too. So I think that's what that's why the state of Nevada has that protection for the fans. But with that said, I mean, obviously the people that paid tickets, like myself, we're looking forward to this Conor McGregor spectacle. Um, I wasn't even so much looking forward to the fight itself. I paid for the spectacle of the Conor
Mm-hmm.
McGregor, you know,
Yeah.
the whole being around the Conor McGregor fight and saying that you went to a Conor McGregor fight and just being at the atmosphere of it is different than anything else. Whether it's
Mm-hmm.
positive or negative, it's different. Um,
Yeah, it makes me
so
think about. I mean, 2015 International Fight Week, UFC 189. That was supposed to be McGregor Aldo. Wound up being 2 weeks out. Wound up being McGregor Mendez. But what you said about the energy that comes for a McGregor International Fight Week main event, it's something that they have the possibility to replicate. And I don't. You said it. Maybe last two podcasts were recorded. A lot of people are reiterating it now. And McGregor himself posted that he's going to be ready to fight on come fight night. So he's not somebody that doesn't show up and has never he doesn't do what John Jones does in the UFC 200 literally the night before you lose the fight. That's not going to happen with McGregor. If he's signed his name to fight, he's going to show up to fight. And the other thing I think a lot of folks are kind of like not even addressing that much. Like Michael Chandler's been waiting for this fight for a long fucking time. The worst that's the I mean, I understand people buying tickets and stuff like that, but I mean, as a competitor, as a guy that's trying to cement and close out his legacy, probably most likely, you're really screwing out somebody that's playing the company man for the UFC, waiting for this fight, and I at least hope. I mean, I understand if they keep us in the dark because Endeavor, TKO, WWE, whatever you want to call them now, that's their Illuminati marketing ploys. But don't leave Chandler, working out like a machine to not have a dance partner come International Fight Week. That's where I'm at right now. I get it though. I get it's fun to speculate, and Helwani likes stirring the pot as much as he does. Act like he has all this inside information, which he probably likely doesn't have what he says he has. But
Well, if he does say what he says it has nothing to do with anything of the normal, ordinary stuff.
Mhm.
Like it wasn't, travel problems for this cancellation. It wasn't, or that he's not tested negative for a positive for a drug test, all that kind of stuff. But you know, my thing is like, if this fight actually gets canceled, you're going to be able to chop clips from this podcast from the last year and from the moment, literally, I think the episode we had of the show where they announced the Ultimate Fighter, but they didn't have that fight scheduled. I believe I said, "Well, it's never going to happen," because I didn't think
Mhm.
Gregor really wanted to fight. I hope that that's not the case. I hope they end up fighting here. But I've also said, we've said multiple times, Chandler standing on the sideline, he was hot. He wasn't even winning fights, and he was hot, and he's allowed it to
Mhm.
sit there. Like, I mean, I love Michael Chandler, but I paid good money to watch Conor McGregor spectacle and Conor McGregor fight, not for the 12th time or whatever it is for me to watch Michael Chandler do the walk.
Mhm.
Like, that's no disrespect. I don't mean that. I pay to. I want Chandler to win, and I think if the fight happens, he's going to dog walk McGregor. I think
Mhm.
McGregor is over his head right now. I don't think he's serious. I, I don't think that. I don't think that's the. I think that that's the case. I don't think. I don't. I the fact that we haven't heard anything is the most bizarre thing ever, and
Yeah.
it makes me lead to believe that it is a drug thing. I've also said he's been on steroids for 2 years, three
Mhm.
years since his injury. Now, rightfully so, after suffering a catastrophic leg injury, but. I feel like we're running into perhaps the picogram thing again here, where and now the UFC does the drug testing. So do you hide it to keep his character?
Mhm.
He's got his contract coming up here shortly. He's got, I guess, 2 fights left. There's a lot on the line here if he did, he can't be seen as I mean, he can because I think Saudi and them would pay him no matter what, but
Mhm.
it just doesn't look good on his legacy to have a failed drug test. So I don't know. This all
It could
speculation.
also be
It's
it could
weird.
also be for him to get back in gear. And I know the press conferences and stuff. That's what gets everybody revved up. Especially you do a Conor McGregor summer event. I mean, you look at the Mayweather Maymac, UFC 189, all the stuff that he's done. He can stir up, make like the highlighted combat sports event of the summer if he does these media tours. But I think the other half of it that we have to look at. I mean, the injury he's coming off of, number one. Number two, he's had the Hollywood treatment, and he hasn't really been preparing. One thing about McGregor, and Dustin Poirier kind of alluded to this when they asked him after 302, which we're going to get into. Um, he said the McGregor, if he actually has McGregor, he sees McGregor winning because of what he remembers of McGregor and his preparation, his footwork, his accuracy with the counter striking. I mean, maybe he's been away from the game for so long because of injury, because of movies, that maybe he realizes how close he is. We've seen the videos prior to last Saturday. There's videos out of him partying or whatever. Maybe he sees how close he is, and now he's like, you know what? I can't do these media obligations because I have to focus. I mean, I know that, and I'm just trying to be objective because I know folks are going to say like I'm the last person going to be hugging McGregor's nuts, but I'm trying to be objective. I'm trying to look at it as an outsider, and the guy's probably realizing like Jesus, I've been out of the injury and movies. I haven't been focusing, and now I hear it's probably hitting him. I'm fighting Michael Chandler, a guy that's probably the most focused guy that I've fought as of late. And Michael Chandler's not coming to play or make anybody look good. Michael Chandler always comes to win, So I think that might be part of it too. I mean, especially based on the statement that McGregor put out. Um, and if I know everybody's probably read it by now because every fucking MMA site on the planet wrote an article about it, but um, he said, I'm going to read it off here. In consultation with the UFC, which means he spoke to the UFC, today's press conference was canceled due to a series of obstacles outside of our control. I apologize to my Irish fans and fans around the world for the inconvenience and appreciate all your passion and support. I can't wait to put on the greatest all-time show in the octagon. So,
You know what though that scares me? There's no mention of June 29th,
mm,
and there's no hashtag
yeah,
303 or mention of
yeah,
303. It sounds like the same tweet we've heard from McGregor for the last 3 years.
mm,
About every other time he thinks when he starts to lose a little momentum and he throws that out there to remind everybody that he, you know, I hope you're right. I hope
Mhm.
you're right because what you're saying is what a mature person would do. Somebody
Mhm.
who knows their career is on the line as far as their legacy in a sense. That's what you would do. You would say, "No, I want to train. I want to take this seriously. This is the most important fight of my life." Well, we
Mhm.
see videos of him in clubs. I mean, I think unfortunately, the reality is that they probably made a mistake by surrounding International Fight Week with
Mhm.
a mediocre at best card and let it be headlined by a guy who may be an alcoholic drug addict.
Mhm.
I mean, we've seen it with John Jones.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
Yeah.
Like, and Dana White said, "Well, I'll never let John Jones do that again." And obviously that's just him talking. If
Mhm.
Jones wants to fight on Fight Week, they're probably putting him on it again. He said he never wanted him in Vegas, and we've seen him in Vegas a million times.
Mhm.
Uh, but this one just seems weird. I mean, outside of our control. Why not just say what happened?
Yeah.
Flights got canceled. Weather was bad.
Yeah.
Uh, Ticketmaster. Now, remember there was a hack this week with Ticketmaster, so I also saw that theory that
Yeah.
maybe that had something to do with the tickets for the event. But why not say due to the hack with Ticketmaster, we're not sure about tickets and who's actually walking into the venue for the
I
safety of everybody. We want to hold
yeah.
off and redo it. I mean, it seems to me, especially now, 24 hours later, more than that. We're 32 hours later at this point. It just seems odd to me. Really, really odd.
Yeah, no, it's odd, and it's odd. You would think again with the people. You look at what the week is and why people are coming in an International Fight Week. Yeah, you got the Fan Expo, which I mean, come on, is that really worth going to lately? I don't think so.
I'm not going to it this year.
Yeah, but the 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 main the highlight of International Fight Week is always the fight night, right? So if you got people planning their Vegas week in at the end of June, you're a month out. I mean, I feel like you need to say something. It's not cheap, especially if they're coming from Ireland. If folks from Ireland are flying in to watch McGregor, like you need to let them know. It can't just be McGregor putting tweets or posts on the X. Like you got to let fans know. Like you have to address it. You have to address it. I mean, we record this. It's today's June 4th. We always record this on Tuesday nights, and more often than not, more stuff comes out. By the time we're done recording and I'm editing this, there's always news that pops off. So there could be news popping off right now as we're recording this, which is why I have my tab open. But as of right now, nobody's saying shit, and I mean, not for nothing. That underlines, like, we've been talking about it for a while. Like, dude, you're not treating your fans right, UFC. Like you're pricing out a lot of guys from events, and now shit like this, you need to do something to kind of like, guys, let them know. Like,
Well, here's another thing, right? So let's assume Ariel Hawani is accurate. Let's just assume that that's the case.
mhm,
And what he said today about the fight still being on, but them sending out feelers for backups
yeah,
and all that. All that tells me is why hasn't there been a backup ready already? We're gonna get another Chad Mendez. We're gonna get another guy on 3 weeks' notice fighting somebody, or
mhm,
like why that you know your card's already weak. Again, but the thing that threw me off is he goes, "Well, there's time." Okay, the
mhm,
fight's in 25 days.
mhm,
Is there really time? Are guys suddenly taking fights on 3 weeks' notice, like
yeah,
left and right? Because that doesn't seem normal any other time.
yeah,
Are we gonna see Yuri Proska and Pahea step up and fight at light heavyweight on 3 weeks' notice?
yeah,
Are we really gonna see Holloway and Chandler in a BMF title fight? Chandler, I get it, because at this point Chandler's gonna be his career is if this fight falls through, it's take any fight they offer, otherwise you're done. You
yeah,
know?
yeah,
But is that a fight? Is Holloway taking that fight? I mean, Holloway's just coming off the gigantic high he had at 300.
mhm.
Does he risk throwing that all away with a late notice fight against another killer who is?
I think he would, only because he was willing to do it back in Brooklyn, with 229 when that whole thing happened. I think that's 229.
But that was a legit title shot
Yeah.
at one of the goats.
Yeah, but I'm
Like,
saying if they throw the right money at whomever to step in, and we
listen,
know.
I get it. If they throw enough money where it doesn't matter if he
Mhm.
loses, but right now him and Topuria is set up for like a mega fight. Like, if he fights Chandler and gets put out
Yeah,
like Gagey,
that would
like
screw up. Yeah.
that screws that up. Then I mean, would I watch Holloway and Chandler? I'd watch it 42 times a day. But
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
bottom line is that like it's hard for me to get to this. I'm old school where guys took fights on late notice and it wasn't a big deal. But
Hmm.
for the last 20 years, that hasn't been the case.
No, especially
We've seen
especially when you're spreading your entire roster so thin because you have events every weekend. You don't have a lot of options to replace a fight of the magnitude you've just been selling us for however long you've been selling it to us, and then have something else come out like the UFC 200 thing. I mean, I remember the air leave. I was at the Red Rock Casino when that news dropped, and I remember the 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 wind getting taken out of the party. I was at a UFC Fight Pass event party that they had invited Fight Pass people to, and it was literally Eric Winter, who was the president of Fight Pass back then, was the one that he broke it to me. He broke it to me privately before they announced it because everybody was going to find out within minutes of looking at their phones if they went to look at social media that time. And it just literally it took the buzz out of the party that the open bar that they had, the free drink open bar that they had for like your first four drinks, they wound up just extending it for the whole night so that to kind of like make up for because like myself, it's a 5-6 hour flight out to Vegas and everything, and you're sitting there for what you're not getting what you were expecting, even though it was still a great night and stuff. But like you got to I don't know, man. That's
This,
not the
yeah, I
UFC that's
mean,
there today.
there's nobody on this planet, well, that I've ever met that's been to more canceled events than me. As far as like me, like being to so many events, like it's
Yeah,
canceled fights is a thing in this sport, like it is. So
yeah,
I can accept it, and I can do it. However, this is a different animal. Like this is the first when you buy a McGregor fight, you're not buying a UFC ticket, you're buying a McGregor ticket.
yeah.
Like that's the difference. Like if these prices were normally priced, and I didn't pay basically an extra. I mean, I'm on the cheap end, but I still paid an extra, 40%, no, almost 100%, more than
Hmm.
100% than what I normally pay. I paid more than double what I normally pay just to go to the fights and enjoy them. So that needs to be, that can't just be, well, hey guys, here's Pahea versus Derek Lewis at a heavyweight, and
Hmm.
here's Chandler and Holloway. That doesn't make up for that. That's a normal priced event, like that's how it's supposed to be. So I have a feeling that that's a lot of the issue too, and a lot of the quietness is because the minute they say this fight's canceled, it's going to be all hell breaking loose on the box offices. I think, I mean, as long as, I don't know how many people are aware of it, but once people start inquiring about a refund, I think that it could get ugly. I mean, they're talking a $30 million gate. you know
Hmm.
that's it could become a very, very interesting situation for an international fight week. I feel like if this was an international fight week and this was just a month later, that they would be talking about scrapping the whole card
Yeah.
or changing it to a fight night and it being, you know, Hill versus, I guess, MVP maybe versus whatever. But either way, it's a shame that
Mm.
that we can't get through a big event like this. Let's cross our fingers, though. You're right.
Yeah.
He's training, and Hawani's right, and the fight's still on, and they get some backups just in case. Hopefully, he just stubbed his toe. Hopefully, he just, you know, pulled a muscle or something where it's like, okay, I don't want to get on a plane. I need to go see a therapist for 2 days. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, let's just hope it's something like that. So, either way, man, there's going to be it's it's kind of what you got to
It's
expect.
too early. I think it's too early to say that the fight is off or anything like that. I would, because I mean, I always say, just from my own experience, especially with International Fight Week, and I'm always kind of like skeptical about it. I've written about it at SureDog. I reposted it recently, 2018 article that I wrote about how International Fight Week might be cursed, and I listed all the things that have happened with various international fight weeks from the stuff we've mentioned here on the podcast and other things that I know Matt was present for pretty much most of them. That was an international fight week with Amanda Nunes, wasn't it? When she had the sinus infection.
I don't think so. I want to say that fight was like in March,
Oh,
but,
okay.
yeah, no, the fight weeks were Weidman Silva, Weidman Machida,
Hmm.
uh, Nunez, and Tate,
Hmm.
and but no, I don't. I don't recall that being the one. I think that was in March, if I
Mm.
remember, just randomly.
It
However,
was Vegas though, right? That was Vegas, or that was Cali. How about you?
I feel like it was in spring because that's what
Mm.
made her sinuses, like her
Mm.
allergies and everything, kick up or something like that. So,
Yeah.
uh, I
But
feel like
either way, I mean, I mentioned it just because it's. I feel like 25 days out, like we'll see. Give it fucking time. The UFC likes to hold shit close to the vest. We all know that. I mean, talking about Ariel Helwani and the Brock Lesnar thing, it was him announcing the Brock Lesnar news too early is what started that whole beef with them. So they like to play games with their fan base now that they know that they have the fan base that they can do that with. It's just give it. I would say mid-June. If we don't hear anything by like 2 weeks out, then that's when you should start worrying. Just folks that bought plane tickets and shit, find out your cancellation policies and stuff. You know what I mean? Because like not for nothing. I mean, they're gonna keep doing shit like this if you keep paying for it and allowing it to happen just because you want to be a fucking robot fan, like and just be at everything. It's fucking stupid. Like money doesn't grow on trees. Like spend your money wisely. Like
yeah, you might have been right about Nunes being on Fight Week. Now that I'm thinking about it, because it was UFC 213 and
yeah, no, I remember it was a one.
217 was in New York in November.
Yeah,
So for yeah, it was yeah, and I think that ended up being Romero and it ended up being headlined by Romero Whitaker uh,
yeah.
fight. But yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a cursed thing, But again, this is the one. This is carrying everything. There's no other events. There's no. They have Slap Fight on Friday, so anybody looking for, you know,
Yeah, that'll save your international fight week. I think
for the
it's
most popular sport in the world, it's pretty crazy that they've sold like 6 tickets.
yeah. What is it? Where is it? It's at the MGM or someplace.
No, it's at some place I've never heard, and I don't.
Kazakhstan, some sort of
Somewhere I've never heard of.
some banquet hall in some hotel on the strip,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But I've
Yeah.
never heard of it, and yeah. But I don't even know what to say about that one. But
Are you
yeah,
going to it?
am I going to Slap
I
Fight? It's not out of the question. Let's just put it that way. It's not out of the question. Just because
I
to
know you like to experiment and fuck around with weird
I like
shit
to
like that.
experiment with wild shit like that in the fight stuff. So
Yeah.
while I'm not like behind it, and I
Hey,
think it's
it's
absolutely
not all
ludicrous,
bad. I mean,
I
you were
can't
like
s- I can't stop the event from happening. So if
the
it's happening, I guess maybe I go see what it's all about.
yeah, no,
Uh,
you got me into bare knuckle. If I'm being fair, like you
yeah, the
know,
bare knuckle. I mean, yeah,
and bare knuckle is not
you
goofy.
know,
Bare knuckle some real shit. It's actual combative
yeah,
skill
like I
requires.
don't look at this other than just going to say, wow, I saw like the most idiotic thing in the world, and I missed out on X Arm, the where where they strapped him up for arm wrestling and the MMA fought. They had that out here one weekend with Irvin, James Irvin from UFC,
I know you went to
headlining the card, and I missed it.
what was the small wonders? What was the midget wrestling thing you went to? I already forgot.
Oh, the Extreme Dwarfinators, yeah, but that was you know. Uh, pretty much anything.
Extreme
I'm in for
Dwarfinator.
I'm in for it all, um, but yeah, but I'm not. But I didn't spend good money to go see Extreme Dwarfinators either. And
I actually want to see that though.
but the thing with Slap Fight, like, will I go? Well, maybe if ticket prices plummet because for the most exciting and popular, something that's more important, exciting than and popular than all the sports combined, you would think that they would sell more than like 6 tickets when it's been on
Yeah.
sale for about 3-4 days already. But they haven't really got a chance to promote Slap Fight yet because the McGregor situation probably got in the way of
Yeah.
um, that. But
Yeah.
yeah, so there's that. Some other news. Let's just get it out of the way. The great Jimmy Smith, in my opinion, one of the real great dudes in the world of MMA's history,
Mhm.
is being welcomed back to Bellator MMA in their commentary booth, play-by-play color man. I love it, man. I mean, we talked about some of the stuff PFL we've criticized. We were happy to see Michael C. Williams come back to do
Mhm.
the ring announcing, and now we get Jimmy Smith back. I mean, it's wishful thinking beyond wishful thinking, but if Sean Wheelock wanted another job,
Oh man.
life could be good again. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, like you
congratulations.
really want to make it feel like Bellator, old OG Bellator. You bring in Sean Wheelock and Jimmy Smith, and we're off the charts. We're like that's yeah. They're I think they need time. They just need time. Like as we watch their events progress, and we said it with the last one, the Paris event, like it looked more Bellator-ish than their very first Bellator event, where it just looked like a PFL with some Bellator logo, you know, tossed around. Michael C. Williams and the Jimmy Smith thing is big. Um, I think put on some more interesting fights. Maybe use some different style graphics, or shit, copy the old graphics that Bellator used to do for their events. If you really want to like make it feel separate, even though it's the same, because that's a winning formula. That formula works. Fucking WWE does it with their SmackDown and Raw and NXT. It's all WWE, but they've branded everything differently. And you would think if the UFC is not going to do it when they acquire Pride and Shock, Strike Force and stuff, then PFL, somebody at PFL, one of these people that are in charge of it should say something or do something. And it looks like that they are. So
We'll see. I think it runs
you haven't lived until you've seen the door from the wrestling.
exactly.
Apparently, Mr. Nicholson has seen that. So what's up, Kevin?
There you
Thanks
go.
for trying. Speaking of, before we leave the Connor thing, because Antoine had this question and we kind of covered it, but he asked, Antoine Willis asked, "Do you all really think Connor was doing Coca-Cola? It's hard to beat a habit like that and hop right back into world-class training camp." I mean, that's kind of what we both alluded to when we talked about his partying and the stuff that I said about him coming, realizing what he's got in front of him with only weeks out. Like maybe I think that's what I think happened. I think he probably called the UFC and he said, "Listen, I've been dicking around. I need to focus. I need 4 weeks to focus. I can't do this press tour. I'll do maybe if he does the Wednesday presser on International Fight Week for that fight. I think he might show up to that. Maybe late because he's got to add that McGregor touch to it to sell it on that week. But other than that, whether he was doing that or not, I do think McGregor, when he sets his mind to prepare for stuff, if you look at that fight at UFC 189 against Mendez, you saw that he drilled for the Team Alpha Male takedown, take your back choke, like he drilled to get out of all of that. So I think he does take every fight he has in front of him seriously.
I would just say that for about 25 years between Chuck Liddell and John Jones, other guys didn't stop. So,
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling no. I have a feeling
Yeah.
yes. I mean, I have a feeling he's partying too hard, and I hope Ed's theory is accurate, and he's realizing that the wall's closing in, getting real
Yeah.
close to the end of the month.
Yeah,
So
because I don't think you beat the habit, but I think you can say it's like me when like I don't drink during the week, but I'll fucking drink on the weekend. You know what I
he
mean?
can be a professional. He can
Mm-hmm.
at least attempt to be a professional and know how
Mm-hmm.
much money's on the line, and well, that's where you find out too, like if he's done or not. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you can't be a professional, then you're done.
Yeah.
Like he can go out there and get his ass kicked and
Yeah.
it still be a professional. But like this right now is risking a lot because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if it's something stupid, I mean, you don't want the Irish fans turning on you.
Yeah.
He's their I don't want to say their god because that's disrespectful,
No.
but he's
Yeah. Yeah.
he's as big as it gets for them.
He's the
You know,
golden goose. He's like he.
to have that person turn on you,
Yeah.
and when you booked a flight across the friggin' world, when you've got spent more money
Mm-hmm.
ever on a ticket, when your
Mm-hmm.
hotel room cost you 4 times what it used to cost,
Mm-hmm.
when it's inflation out of the thing, people struggling left and right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who this is like their lifetime trip, you
Yeah.
know, and no matter how much you love somebody, no matter how much I love a musician, no matter how much I love an athlete,
Yeah.
if I put money into supporting them and they send me a big FU finger up the middle and go, dude, sorry, my bad, my
Mm-hmm.
bad, like see you next month, then
Yeah.
it's like, no, that doesn't cut it anymore. Like I'm not a fan anymore. And not
Yeah.
even more am I not a fan. I'm like against you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so uh I don't know. I just think that there's a lot going on, and I think it's really bizarre that we haven't heard anything. I think the weird tweets from Chandler are adding to it. Um, it would be the weirdest marketing thing we've ever seen if
Mm-hmm.
this just turns out to be, hey, we just wanted to. I don't even know how they would sell it, but and the fact that certain people, Chael Sonnen and Ariel Hawani, these people are acting like they know what's going on, like it's some
Yeah.
common, like it's like if you're in the inn, you just know.
Mm-hmm.
Like seems odd to me that that's something that's simple, perhaps. Like if Hawani thought it was something that was crazy over the top, if you're a journalist, you'd have to report it.
Yeah, if he likes to pull that
You
fucking
know what
sign.
I mean? Like,
He likes to put that in the thing like
but
the
you'd have to.
Superman.
Like,
Yeah.
if you knew he was, let's say you knew McGregor was arrested for domestic battery, you would have
Hmm.
to report that.
Yeah.
Like, you would have to, even though it would be damaging to everything going on. You would have, like, if you have any
Yeah.
dignity, you'd
Yeah.
have to report that. So I like the fact that he's going, hey, it's not doesn't seem to be a real big deal. It's just something weird that's throwing it off. Like,
That's why I think it's what I'm saying. I think it's just him saying, "Holy shit, I got to fight. Let me go into the dark room. I got to go to Siberia, train in the mountains like Rocky Four style. You know what I mean? Like
and
that's
let's
why I
and,
think
and
it.
let's just give it 72 hours, 96 hours to cool off before,
Yeah.
so I don't get the Irish fans totally pissed at me for no
Yeah.
showing their thing. Maybe, and that would be a veteran adult move, kind of.
Hmm.
You'd be, let's just let it simmer down a little bit. I don't need
Yeah.
chaos ensuing in the streets of Dublin because I just no showed. You know,
Yeah.
um, interesting. I hope you're
Yeah.
right. I hope you're right. Uh, you know, I hope you're right. So, I mean, if the bottom line is if the fight goes through and they end up getting some other dudes to call and say they want to fight, then like why
Hmm.
not add another fight to this card? Like let's do it right, Like
Yeah.
let's have a little insurance in case something happens 24 hours, like the fact that there's not the fact that they're not going, hey, if this fight falls through, we've got boom boom and boom lined up,
Yeah.
like that's what I'd like to see, but obviously they're never going to do that because it plays too much their hand, and it
Hmm.
would hold, people could hold them hostage for money and stuff like that. um I guess looking back at 302, no, not a whole lot we're going to look back at is
Yeah.
um it was a night of decisions, but
Certainly wasn't any dwarfinated card, but
no,
yeah, yeah, it
no,
was that co-main. It's weird because night of decisions, that co-main event with Strickland and Costa. I mean, we got with the Costa that I was worried about showing up is who showed up, and Strickland did that weird slow pressure game that he does. I mean, not for nothing. That's how he beat Adesanya. So I know people are like trying to hate on the methodology behind it, but I know I think Chris Curtis was putting out there like you have to if you fight somebody that knows how to use pressure and space and stuff like that, they would make you more apprehensive. So I don't fault him for making the boring fight, but it wasn't. I mean, not for nothing. That was a sleep aid, and thank God, Makachev and Poirier showed up to wake everybody up. I mean, even Makachev said it in the post fight press conference. He was like, I saved this card because these fights were boring, which I thought it was funny that he said that.
Yeah, I mean, there was some highlights, but getting
Yeah.
back to the co-main event, it went basically how both of us kind of saw it.
Hmm.
Um, Also, though, I don't. If I'm Strickland, I don't fall into anything. I use
Hmm.
this technique every time because this has turned a guy who really is a bit of a middle of the road skilled fight, like
Hmm.
elite fighter. He's obviously elite, but like he's not Anderson Silva, right? Like we're not going to say that. We're not going to, at least I'm not going to. Um, I don't even know if he's Rich Franklin, but in the scheme of things, but his technique allows him to up it to beat these guys
Hmm.
because the pressure is crazy. I mean, just watching the fight, like I have anxiety. He's coming at him so much. Like it was like, whoa, like dude, like he is really like maybe it was the first time I ever watched 5 rounds because other times I just turned it. But like this one was a pay-per-view co-main event against Costa, who you're like, okay, at any time, like, is he gonna explode? And like it never really happened. And
Yeah.
it was ugly. They both say they're gonna do something next fight. I really don't believe it. Once, like, am I gonna fall for that? Like, sorry, dude. Like, no, Costa, you've put up the same performance basically like 6 times in a row now, something like that. And we know how you win, Strickland. And good for you, man. You might win another title doing it the same way. And I don't hold that against you. Your technique is impeccable, but like it's not, you know, it's not Tank Abbott versus, you know, another big striker. This is a
Yeah.
slow grinding. It's basically the lay and pray the standing version of lay and pray. So,
Yeah.
um, the main event though, man, I thought Islam Makhachev is just another level. That guy is. we need to really start appreciating what we're seeing. And like I said last week, like we're basically it's a continuation of Habib in a sense, obviously different. You know, with all the blood, like showed that it's different. Like
Mhm.
you know, he was bleeding too because he was willing to kind of get a little bit more. You know, stand in front of Poirier, give
Yeah,
Poirier some
yeah.
chances. You know what I
He
mean?
likes to
And
test his striking, and what I like about what he said after the fact was like he even said, I need to work on, there's things I need to work on, like getting the getting, the cut and things like that. He admitted that Poirier is good because he woke him up to things that he felt that he was confident with and that he needs to work on. And I mean, it is kind of what, if you like him better than Khabib, then that's definitely why. Because Khabib was just like, Khabib definitely made you fight his fight no matter what you wanted to do, but he's trying to be evolve into something else, and I think that's why it's hard not to like Makachev, especially after a fight like that.
I mean, I to me he comes off as nothing but respectful. He
Hmm.
comes off as nothing but professional. Um, that's what I get out of him, you know. So, uh, I just I think I don't know who's going to beat him. He has his striking seems so much better even in this fight than the Volkanovski fight. So
Yeah.
he stood now obviously the threat of the takedown is slows Poirier down to a roar. Um, because he can't just go, he can't strike like he's going up against McGregor because he
Hmm.
can't strike like he's going up against Gagey because he knows the minute he does anything wrong, slips up, Makachev's going to have his ankle or his knee or
Hmm.
his be wrapped around him and he's in a world of hurt. He did good job though fighting it off a lot and making it a fight. I mean, the fact that one of the judge had 2-2 going into the last round, or I think yeah, because yeah, 2-2 going in the last round. Poirier was still going to lose on the cards. Really, no wonder it happened because the other two judges pretty much had it. This deal sealed if it went to
Hmm.
the decision. But um, good fight, man. Poirier gave all he has. I think that's just, you know,
Yeah.
I just think it's another level. Um, and
It
and
is. It is. I
and
mean,
I
these guys are all getting better and better. I mean, the future of the sport, the future that's coming up. I mean, the fighters that are going to be at this level in like 10 years or whatever. It's just going to be. If you think this was, you look 10 years ago, like the fighters that we used to like, the Pride fighters and stuff like that, like the those guys versus to what they've fighters have evolved to technique wise and the things they're coming up with now. It's crazy and right now we're looking at the best of the best. I mean, especially with them two.
yeah, amazing. Couple other highlights. Love the Kevin Holland fight. Thought he was going to get knocked out. Ended up snapping the guy's arm. That's wild. no matter where
Yeah,
you're at. And I mean, other than Romanov looking like you know, maybe one of the worst MMA fighters of all time recently. Nice to see Jelton
yeah.
Almeida
It
get a
did.
win out
Jalton
of it.
Almeida got his yeah, he's got his little shine on him. The event overall, I mean, I don't know, I wasn't that into it, but yeah, the Holland fight definitely not for nothing. I mean, I don't get dudes as a jujitsu guy. It always bothers me when you're not tough if you're letting your shit get wrecked like that. There's nothing that's stupid. Now you probably won't fight for another year. You know what I mean? When you get an injury, when you get let shit break like that. And shout out to Kevin Holland for even giving him a, because Kevin Holland already knew, and there's a point where he looks at Herb Dean and he said, he's like, "You're gonna make me break it," like because it was over. He knew it was over,
Hmm.
but the guy didn't want to top. And then his protest was like, "Oh, it's not off the bone," or whatever he said that Kevin Holland said when
Yeah.
he spoke with Aaron Brunstetter after, and Brunstetter said, "What was his protest about?" And the Kevin Holland said he was like, he was protesting that it wasn't broken off the bone. Like, it's like, dude, if it's broken, it's broken. Like, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
that's just wild,
Yeah.
but yeah, and dumb for a guy that's not making enough money to be able to sit
Mhm.
on the shelf for a year and probably never
Yeah.
come
Yeah. It
back.
doesn't make any
Any
sense. Doesn't
no,
make any sense.
stupid. So, um, some good action this weekend coming up.
Oh yeah.
Not the UFC does have a fight night, and we generally don't really highlight those, and we're not really going to highlight this one. But I will say that Jared Cannonier and Ima, Imavov, Imavov, sorry, main event is solid, as is Dominic Reyes, Justin Jacoby should be a banger in the co-main event. Raul Rosas Jr. is on the card. Um, Thiago Moises, Brad Katona, Ultimate Fighter winner. Um, some good fights. So it will be interesting to see those go down. Also, fight night in front of a live crowd always seem to be like they're way better than the Apex BS that we hopefully seeing less of in the future.
Yeah, we don't like to plug the plus cards, but
It
if
is
the
an
fights are
ESPN,
good, yeah, if the fights
and
are
this is
good,
an
it's worth
ESPN main
mentioning.
card too. This is a big ESPN card.
Yeah, so
Um, so good fights,
but
some
the thing
names.
is, yeah, but the thing is, we have a lot going on this weekend. There's that. You got one championship on Friday with I
Rod
forget the
Tang, Rod Tang
Rod
in the
Tang
co-main event. Mikey Musumeci fighting.
against Souza,
Uh,
which I saw his did the Brendan Schaub appearance about for promoting that. And then, I mean, a lot of folks seem to be sleeping on our homies from the East, Mr. Sakakibara himself, bringing Ryzen 47, Pettis Horiguchi 2, a fight that Horiguchi was winning. Had it not been for an amazing spinning back fist that dropped him. So now we get to see if that was a fluke or not. And who's on that card too? Is Juan Archuleta's on
there,
there against Kleber Koike, and
yeah, I mean, I'm
yeah.
I'm all about this. I'm just realizing that I'm probably gonna have to
Yep.
get some Red Bull vodkas
I think so.
for
I think
Saturday
so.
night. And I'm kind of looking forward to it because I look at this and this looks like the first card in a while post pandemic where I feel like, okay, we're getting somewhere again. Let's get this ball rolling in Japan with some of these cards. I mean, Horiguchi Pettis, obviously a Bellator rematch,
Yeah.
but in Ryzen under their rules, um, a rematch of a fight Horiguchi was dominating before he got KO'd. Now he gets to fight in
Yeah.
front of his countryman. I mean, I can't. I'm super like this is gonna be great. And then like you said,
I might have to fuck up my sleep schedule just so I can watch this thing. That card is
Archuleta and Gyoki, like I mean another. I always support Juan Archuleta.
yeah.
Um, Spike Carlisle's on the card. You know what you're going to get out of him. It's going to be
Mhm.
nonstop chaos, win or
Mhm.
lose. Johnny Case is on the card, an old school guy going back to the early days of Ryzen.
Mhm.
Um, Bunch of guys. Also, not a what I'm seeing right now. It's not like it's an 85 fight card. I'm seeing 9 fights, eight MMA bouts, and a kickboxing bout. Like we're firing this up at 9 p.m. my time. Let's get this. Give me one intermission in the middle. Get me done by 2 a.m. and I will be the happiest guy on the planet. Um, but I know
Yeah,
that's
I don't know if they could
I know
see.
they're going
I'm
to stretch it out to all time and eternity.
yeah.
But yeah,
I
I'm
want to
great
just
card.
bring up the card really quick, just because. Um. So and not that I'm complaining because I appreciate them sending me this stuff, but like they send their press releases and they send out these images with so it's really doesn't show well on here, but this is the bout order for Ryzen 47. In fights we just mentioned: Horiguchi, Pettis, Kleber Koike versus Juan Archuleta. Carlisle's there's an intermission after the Carlisle Kyung Pyo Kim fight, but I mean, uh, Koji Takada versus Razbali Shadulev. Like there's some fights on here that are probably going to be. You're probably going to wake up Sunday and see highlights of this on your socials. That's all I'm saying.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. It's a
for
good
sure.
card. Exciting to see that. Brings hope for the.
Yeah, it's that's what makes MMA fun. I mean, I always tell the young cats I train with, if you haven't watched, because there's some of them that haven't watched Japanese MMA, and I'm like, if you haven't watched a Rising card or a Pride event, you owe it to yourself to watch them, just so you could understand the pageantry of the pageantry and passion that those events have. It just makes me realize why I like watching this sport.
Yeah, I would. I'd like to see Gegard Mousasi uh, announced for
Yeah.
something like that, fighting for them.
Oh man,
I know they don't have a bunch of bigger guys, but um, You got to believe that
They could
Saki
figure it
Kabara
out.
figures it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a bunch of guys from Bellator that still aren't happy with their deals. There's got to be some guys. And again, we don't need the biggest fights ever. It just showcases Gegard in Japan fighting with those different rules and you know good paydays and fun. Fun. That's what this is about. These events are
Hmm.
about fun. Now this one's some serious stuff because there's some really legit stuff, but it doesn't always have to be that way. I like the mix of the two. So the fact
Yeah.
that everything's great, man. I mean, I'm looking forward to this. I'm super excited. You reminded me it was on because uh,
Now you're like now you're
I'm
like
fired up. Yeah,
yeah
now I'm
yeah
ready to go.
yeah yeah. It's gonna be a good weekend.
Cool. Well, I think that'll do it. Let's pray for everybody that's got McGregor Chandler tickets. That by the time we come on the air next week, it's all settled and we know what we're in for. But till then, fans can follow the show at Combat Hour on Twitter, Coast to Coast Combat Hour on Instagram. Follow me, Matthew Hawkins, at MMA Hawk 21 on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Ed at Carbazol on Twitter, Carbeerzol on Instagram, and Old Head Carb on Twitch. Thanks for the questions and comments, everyone. Thank you for listening and have a good night.